Okay, so it is the 2022 off season. Actually, haven't moved forward since the my end of season recap, but I just wanted to do a quick post on kind of the off season plan and things I'm thinking about because this could be, uh, it could be an off season of big change or I might not do much. So just kind of go through my thought process here of what I'm thinking of doing, what I might or might not do. To start with the hitters, Rutschman, Mountcastle, Bannon, they're all coming back. Same with Matan. They were all awesome. Um, Correa, kind of up in the air on him. It's hard to get a shortstop this good in the game, but he's been so mediocre for me. And, he's a below average glove, which I don't really like to have in this game. Having a good fielding shortstop is such a crucial piece. But if he can be all-star level with the bat, that's fine. That's a trade-off I'll take, net positive. But he's been league average with the bat in about a season and a half for me. He's still under contract for 2 years on a very reasonable deal. So I'm kind of up in the air there, whether I want to just, let a guy like Adam Hall, who could be a possibly elite glove with a mediocre bat, or go out and get a guy through trade or free agency. Up in the air there in Correa, but that's one area I might change. Austin Hayes, he's fine. He's been pretty league average. He's got a good glove. He's certainly not like a foundational piece, like kind of Rutschman and Bannon, Mountcastle, Matan, Larnach have all kind of took big steps forward this year. Hayes didn't, but he's fine. He's a league average player in 2 seasons. Of course, Pilar was the center fielder, but he's on the DL in this. I need help at center field, no doubt. It's another position just like shortstop and really catcher too, where you just want really, really good fielders. And it's hard to find guys who do that and aren't a detriment with the bat. So, Victor Mesa might be a good fourth or fifth outfielder, but he's not going to be my starting center fielder. Verdugo is a guy I'm torn on. He came in and he played 57 games for me, put up 1.4 WAR, 129 runs created plus. He's under contract for 2 more years of arbitration. He's a very good fielder. His personality sucks though, and that can be a detriment to the team. Although if you have good enough leadership and you're winning, this isn't going to be a huge deal, but it could be. I don't like having jerks around the locker room because it can be detrimental. But he's been so good for me. And he's just a solid player. 4.3 WAR in 2020, 3.1 in 2021, and then he put up 4.3 in 2022 between 2 teams and was 30% above league average with the bat. It's a really good player. So he's a guy that I might move if I can get a super good piece for him, and there are teams very interested in him. I'll get to that in a minute. Trevor Larnach, obviously, coming back, hopefully as a DH. I don't really want to stick him in right field because he's just not a good fielder. My scout thinks he's average-ish, but, he played 58 games and was -4 in zone rating. That's not great. So anyways, that's the hitting. The pitching, of course, we've got the big 3 right here who have all just been mediocre, below league average. If league average is 2 wins above replacement, none of them came close to that for me this year. And so, I'm thinking of bringing in a new coach who has better development and better relationships with pitchers. But I might go out and get an ace, as expensive as that would be. But when I'm talking about Correa, Verdugo, possibly moving names like that, I might be able to get one. DL Hall will be back. Colton Eastman he'll battle like, he'll be probably the 5th starter / long man along with guys like Diplon, and other guys that I have in AAA like Asa Lacy, my number 1 pick from 2020, Grayson Rodriguez. They'll all battle for like that 5th and long man spot and probably shuttle back and forth as I need fresh arms. Not pictured here is my closer, Feltman. He's just on the DL and I haven't moved him back onto the active roster yet. Severino has a $15 million option, which is just too much for a reliever. And I did try him as a starter, but eventually moved him back to reliever because he started getting hit pretty hard. You can actually see his splits here. As a starter, he had a 5.61 ERA, 5.01 FIP as a reliever, 2.08 ERA, and a 0.84 FIPS. I mean, he's an elite reliever. And it is only 1 year, and I've thought about doing it, but I very seriously doubt I'll pick up a $15 million option just on a reliever because I think it is easier. I think it is It can be, while you're not going to get a guy this good, you can build a pretty effective bullpen cheaply in this game. Jones and De La Cruz both made the All-Star game for me as relievers, and there is a ton of trade interest in both of them when I kind of look around for deals. With Severino going, and if I traded one of these guys, I probably wouldn't trade the other. I don't want to decimate the back end of my bullpen, but I do think that I'll probably end up moving one of them because the trade value seems so high. JD Hammer will be back. He can pitch in a setup role where he was for some of the year. Claudio will probably let go. Jairo Diaz was just terrible when he came in. He's got a year of arbitration left, but he was just so bad for me. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Probably deal him. McKay and Duplan, like I said, they'll kind of be fifth guy, long man battle. Hopefully, McKay was a number 3 starter for 2020 and 2021 for the Rays, and was bad for me this year. He was beyond bad. He was terrible. Brad Hand was awful when he came over. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with him. He's cheap, but man, he was, extreme fly ball pitcher perhaps is part of the problem. He gave up 3 home runs per 9 in Baltimore after just giving up 1 home run per 9 in Milwaukee. So that could be the problem. It seems in this year's version in Out of the Park 21, the fly ball tendencies in Oriole Park seem way more extreme than previous years. Like if I have fly ball, extreme fly ball pitchers, they really struggle, really struggle. And then Matt Barnes was the big free agent signing I made last year. He was hurt almost all year. Don't think he'll be back. Michael Bowman, we'll see. So then what am I thinking of doing, right? So like the center field piece is a definite. I'm going to bring in a better center fielder and just kind of look at some of the trades I've started getting feelers on. The Twins are willing to move Buxton, and it's a pretty reasonable cost. If I take this guy to go to Chalmers out of it, I believe they say yes, right? Okay. So Buxton is 28. He'll be 29 soon. Elite center fielder. As you can see in 2022, he was great with the bat. He had a 102 runs created plus, put up 4.5 WAR. Last year, not so good. He was hurt for much of the year, put up negative 0.4 WAR, 45 runs created plus. His 2020 season kind of somewhere between that. About 20% below league average at the bat, but he put up 2.7 WAR because his defense is so good. And he's about to be 29, so I think it'll be a couple years before his defense starts to decline. He'll stay above average for a bit. They did sign him sometime during the season to a 4-year extension, $5.8 million per year. The last year's a player option. That's a totally reasonable deal. I worry that I'd get the 2021 version of Byron Buxton, but he's elite with the glove, and that's so important to have in this game in center field. And it's so hard to find. And to get a guy like this that's a sure thing with a bat who's this good on defense is, oh my gosh, it's insane what it costs. Like I looked at the Cardinals like Harrison Bader, and it's just crazy. And if he could, I don't expect him to be league average with the bat. I don't think he's that good. But if he could put up, I don't know, this season, 2.7 WAR with 79 runs created plus, I think I'd take that, and that's beyond what Victor Mesa could do for me. So what would it cost me? That all-star reliever Oscar forgot to bring my water in. And it's allergy season. Sorry, my voice is a little scratchy. Trying not to cough. So all-star reliever here, De La Cruz. Abraham Toro was one of the pieces I got in the Mancini trade, and I think he could still be a league average bat. He was pretty bad for me in 2022, but he got relegated to a bench role because Mountcastle and Matan were so good at the corners, and that's where he can play. And then Larnach was so good as my DH, so he's just kind of expendable. Matt Cronin, I think, is a big league reliever who I just haven't made room for yet, but I think would be up this year for me. He was hurt for a lot of 2022. Maybe not. I thought he was. Huh. Why did he only throw 2 innings? I didn't have too many pitchers there. I'm not sure what's going on there. I thought he was hurt. Is he still hurt or something? Oh, yeah, it's not listed. Tore his rotator cuff. Okay. But I think he's he's a good bullpen piece. But again, those kind of pieces are the easiest pieces to find in this game. And then, however you say this guy's name, Bernovich, he's just minor league filler at this point. So, I'd give up a guy who is a good bench piece for me, and will start somewhere else in Toro, an elite reliever, all-star reliever, I guess, at least, and then, potential relief contributor. And Buxton's not without risk. He was awful in 2021. But 2 out of the last 3 seasons, he's been good. He's like real life Byron Buxton. He's like, is he a superstar? Is he terrible? Is he average? Who knows? But I'm pretty tempted to pull the trigger on that deal. I've also looked around at what it would take to get an elite pitcher. And the answer generally comes down to Alex Verdugo and other things. So, like, Shane Bieber is awesome in this game. He put up, in 2020, I start there because that's when the simulation started. 5.8 in 2019 was real life. 2020, 4.7, then 4.5. And then last year he was hurt, but came back and put up 2.8 WAR. So he ended the season like that after injury. He had a 3.48 ERA. His injury, I think, was an elbow injury. Yeah, bone spurs. But he came back and was elite. This is a 5+ WAR pace he was on. And he's got 2 years of arbitration left. And they're going to be expensive years. So what would it cost me? It would cost me a lot. Alex Verdugo, again, awesome right fielder. I'm going to have a massive hole in right field. With my lineup, maybe I can afford that. I do have some good, decent outfield prospects who I think could be better suited to be 4th or 5th outfielders on a team that wants to contend. But I could push them into duty. Michael Bowman, again, he's going to be like probably minor league / long man depth this year. Jairo Diaz was terrible. I'm ready to get rid of him. And then Alex Wood. So, one of my top 3 starters and my starting right fielder pretty much, which is reasonable. It's a really reasonable piece. It's just once I start looking at the other trades and the bullpen pieces I'm trading, possibly trading Correa and what that would cost, all these pieces kind of add up to where you're like, oh, yeah, I did get the best player in the trade, which is generally what I want to do. But if you make enough of those trades of 3, 4 for 1, even if you're getting the best player back, your depth can be shot. So kind of weighing those two things. Verdugo, I'm just hesitant to give him up because he was so good, even though my plan was to give him up. There was one fairly tempting offer that I'm seeing that I worked out with the Cardinals. I'm surprised they agreed to this. Dakota Hudson is a guy who put up 4 WAR in 2020. 21, he put up 2.9 WAR, 4.6 WAR last year, which was top 10 in the league. He's signed, 2022 is about to fall off the book. So he's signed for 4 more years, 9, 12, 15 million. He's 28 years old. He's an extreme ground ball pitcher. I do worry about that because my infield defense is pretty weak up the middle with Bannon and Correa. So it's almost like, okay, well, if I get this dude, then I got to go get a shortstop. So, that's kind of my hesitation with him, is how weak my infield defense is, and will I really reap the benefits of getting an ace here? So, but the price is super reasonable. Severino, who, again, is an elite reliever, one of the best in the league this last year, a FIP below 1, but I'm not going to renew his option. I'm thinking I'm not. Zabala is probably a guy, if he's around, would work his way into the back end of my bullpen. His control was a little hit or miss, but, he walked 6 guys per 9, but still put up 1.1 WAR in just 42 innings with a FIP of 2.97 because he doesn't give up hits. 5.7 hits per 9, 0.2 home runs. He's an extreme ground ball pitcher, strikes out 13.5 guys. So, he's a back-end bullpen piece for next year if he's around, I think. So Severino and Zabala, same thing with Colton Hogg. Put up 2 WAR in AAA in 44 innings as a reliever. Again, I'm a guy, sure, people want to give me value for a reliever. Yep, I'm on it. But it's one of the things of like, do I want to make 3 or 4 trades where in every trade I'm giving up really good back-end bullpen pieces? I kind of feel like I might need to be more selective than that so I don't end up with a bare bones bullpen, even if the trades on their own each make sense. Jairo Diaz, who I know, he was in the Bieber trade too. Obviously, I'd only make one of these 2 trades. And then Elijah Cabell, is a young player. He's turned 23 this year, round 6 pick in 2020. Drafted him as a center fielder, put up 1.5 WAR in Frederick with just an 87 runs created plus. He's been below average with the bat the last 2 years, and he's not 23, struggling in A-ball, and he just doesn't seem to be catching on as a center fielder. Now, of all my prospects, teams are really interested in this guy, one of the ones they ask about the most in trades. But, he's average with the glove in A ball, below average with the bat, he's not going to stop me. That wouldn't be a make or break thing for me. With Hudson, it's really like, one, would I prefer Bieber? Two, extreme ground ball pitcher with bad infield defense, and three, does this deal make sense within the context of all the other deals where I'm giving up so much bullpen depth? So, and I've started looking around at shortstops too. And then I'll wrap up here in a minute, not to go on forever. Andrelton Simmons is the best fielding shortstop in this game. He's 33. He's an 80 shortstop rating, which is the highest. Almost 5 WAR each of the last 3 seasons. Despite being about 15 to 20% below league average with the bat, he's just unbelievable with the glove. Now, he's 33. Contract 2022 is over, so he's got 3 years at 11.1 per season left. And I'm not exactly sure what it will cost. Zabala is a guy that they want. Hyo-Jong Park, who again, that was a Rule 5 guy who played second base for me in 2021, and then he's out this entire year. He's a solid middle infield guy with the glove, especially, but his bat just isn't enough where I could start him at shortstop every day, I don't think. So, I've started looking around at shortstops to like, okay, if I do get Dakota Hudson, I want to go get a good shortstop, good fielding shortstop. So yeah, it's kind of what I'm thinking through that. I mean, I think the Buxton deal is probably the only one I'm pretty set on making. The Bieber deal, hesitant to give up Verdugo and other pieces. And then, I've already talked about the hesitations of the other deals. So we'll see what we do. I have some other pieces that, I'm going to look to move. That's kind of the gist of it, though, is bringing in a center fielder, and then what do I want to move out in terms of like Correa, Verdugo? Do I want to move on from any of Weaver, Castillo, Wood, and bring in an ace? So I will have an update once I kind of, think about this way too much, and then eventually pull the trigger on some of this.